Hey, Big Wheeler, how you doing? Nice point. I saw your post, man. Hey, Fitz, how you doing this morning? Awesome, Big Wheeler. Man, you just gotta keep chipping at it, you know. Each one of them will get a little easier, or I don't know. On we're getting ready to see how fun a day we can have. I'm a little bit nervous, guys, to tell you the truth. I mean, it's one thing to set up and do a fulsome, you know, from beginning to end on camera, but to have this many of them stacked up in front of you, it's a little bit daunting, you know, knowing what the odds are. You know, those of you that didn't see, this is trying to. I got these kind of in order of how well I think they're going to go. But these are our bifaces that we're going to try to get through this morning in flute. Now all of this is all various Texas material, and that's why, you know, I don't have a lot of confidence in some of these. You can see all this concrete chunk right here, junk right near the fluting platform, and I'm hoping this side's a little thick, but if I can get it to blow through there. But again, it's going to be a learning process, and that's the way I've tried to tell myself, that no matter what the outcome of these are, that try to learn something from it. This is tough Texas material here, and I'm hoping that it will hold up for this. So I may do a little bit of warm up. Oh, it looks like I was trying to get the camera angle where you guys could see a little bit better. I'll warm up a little bit here, and then we'll let a few people. Oh, we got a few people showing up. G Money, what's up? Goat Stackers, great name. I'm trying to get everything moving the way it's supposed to this morning. Take a few flakes here and so I'm just rounding that in. Like I said, guys, I'm just warming up my hands a little bit and kind of get everything. Awesome, Rick. Yeah, that's the thing about it, guys, is when you start, really trying to replicate or reproduce points, you have to realize there is a learning curve, and there's a reason why the fulsome points are so difficult to make. I've said it a bunch of times, not necessarily as a, hey, my honey sent me a rose, thank you, hun. Depending on what archaeological papers that I've read, but I've seen estimates of between 40 and 60% of failure rate, on the original artifacts. So, if it's like I said, if you do something for a living, literally to live, and almost half of it messes up, which I don't know, some of you might be able to relate. There's been times in my life I could relate to that, but you know, that's pretty tough. So you know that it had to meet a pretty regulated, you know, it had to fit in their system for them to be able to rationalize, I guess, or you know, make having that much of that many failures worth it. So just curious, guys. We've got a few people in here. Do I have anybody that came over from Facebook, from my posts over there? I'm trying to see how many I'm reaching that direction to kind of get into the lives. So see, that angle was bad. If I try to flute with that angle, I'm gonna have some troubles today. So that's why I'm warming up a little bit here. And I got to keep reminding myself that this material is tough. It's not. I have to hit it like I mean it. If I lessen up on it, just because it looks nice and slick, it's tough material. So awesome. Yeah, you said you were gonna download the TikTok app today. Awesome. Well, I'm just warming up right now. I'm gonna get into it here in a second. I just get my angles and everything good. All right. There we go. I was just trying to take that mass off over there. That actually might make a point. I'll have to dig that one out later. That one lined up right next to it. Give me a sip of coffee this morning. Then we're gonna pick up the first one, get it set up, and start fluting. Just wanted to make sure that there was a few people that said they were going to try to make it in this morning, so I wanted to make sure we gave everybody the chance to get in before I start fluting. And like I said, guys, if you can't stay for the whole live today and you want to see me break a few of these, in a few days this is going to be uploaded on the YouTube channel. So just about caught up with all of the backlog of lives on there, so we're almost up to current. So if you guys like this, or you want to go back and watch something, I think everything up to the March 12th is available, or should be. It's all uploaded. I don't know if it's viewable yet, but well, I got into some concrete. What I was thinking with this nice piece here is I was looking at an ultra thin knife. It was basically the butcher knife that the Folsom culture used to dress game with, and they are extremely thin. Beautifully made stone artifacts for sure. All right, I think I'm right on, Bent Creek. That's what I was just kind of warming up and wasting some time till everybody kind of got in here. And we're going to talk about a couple of things here. All right. Hey, Bill, how you doing? Now, these are just some of my casts, guys, that I kind of use as reference material when I'm doing these, and I can tell you just, I mean, the casts of these points, the material. Folsom people were, and the Clovis for that matter, but wherever possible, they used the highest grade material that they could. Now that's not always possible. This is a point from Indiana, and you can just tell by the material, by the texture and the thickness, the way that it's made, that this was you know, a lot tougher material, and this thing is just about used up to, you know, it was probably not a real big point to begin with, but you can see it was fairly thick compared to, like, this was probably either agate or something like that, this point was. But the interesting thing about this one, now this is fairly new. This hasn't been reworked a lot, just a little bit. You can tell by the angle of the tip, but the flute didn't go, but right here on this side, and on this side there's an impact fracture, but I can tell by the angle of that flute that this point was fluted all the way to one side. There you go, Bill. I used to say if I was doing any better, I'd have to hire somebody to help me enjoy it. But what we're trying to accomplish here on this first, see in this one here, this flute on the original piece is a little over half, you know, so what we're shooting for is to make sure that the hafting area is good and thin. I'd like for the flakes to travel all the way to the tip, but I'll be happy if we get half or more, you know, distance on these and it trails out good. This is, let me see this right here. This is the first one we're going to set up. Now it's a little bit narrower, but you can see how I've got it set up similar to this one. I've got a ridge that's isolated. This is the cast. And then this is the piece we're getting ready to try to flute. Now this one's a little bit thicker back here, and I'm hoping I can get it to run through, but that's going to be the first one. Yeah, this Bent Creek, this is a cast. This is a preform that I made this week. It's what all these are. These are all preformed and ready to flute. Yes, Lithics Casting Lab is where that one, this one, and then, well, these came off the same site, and I've said before, look at the similarities in the way these, I believe this was probably the same napper. I mean, these are just like mirror images. It's actually the same material. This is just weathered. This is the patina, the way that this Knife River patinas. But you can see those ripped out flakes, the way that accentuated that ridge right there. And you can see the remnants of those on this, where this one broke when they tried to take the first flute. It rolled in and snapped the point in half. David, how you doing this morning? So we're gonna hopefully avoid that. We're gonna try to anyway. I'm gonna tell you what we're gonna do though. I'm gonna see if I can get a little bit closer on the camera angle so you can see the punch a little bit easier. Let's turn this back this way just a little. I think that might give us a little bit better view. All right. Let's get this first one going. Okay, now when I set that on there, you see how that's rocking like that? I'm wanting to keep this, where I'm going to strike this, from dipping down when I strike it. I want to isolate it and try to stabilize it as much as possible because I don't want to lose any energy when I strike this. It's a little thick, but I just want something underneath that, like that, to keep it, the ears of it from, I don't want it dipping down when I hit it. Now some of these were these are a little bit bigger and thicker pieces than the last couple that I've done. So stuck right there. I just want something up behind that tip. It's not going anywhere. I just want just a block for it, and I'll show you how this is going to sit. See how that's setting in there like that? When I strike this, there shouldn't be a lot of give to that. I'm going to really force in on that, and it's set up against this antler bone block right here. Okay. Now when I set that up against there, I'm trying to get just at the bottom of that punch. And I can tell by the way that vibration is going through my hand when that's driving up against that point. And there you can see that flute channel. Now we get to see if it's in one piece or not. Or how big a flute we got. Yeah, that's what I was feeling like. That one went, you can see it's better than halfway. It went right here and it hit that thick spot and then stopped on us. I'll show you I think we still got the platform. I like it when I can see the platform. This one right here was probably the thickness and the way that it dove in right there is the reason it didn't travel all the way to the tip. But it was a successful flute. I'm not sure what that was there. Oh, it was a successful flute. It just didn't travel. It went to about right there. Yeah, I started off with the one that I felt least confident, Bent Creek. I'm gonna try to save some of these if I can. I just dropped the platform, never mind. And that was also on the inside of that one, but you can see it went in and then rolled out about right here. So we're gonna set that one aside and we'll do the other flute on it here in a bit. Oh, well, would you guys rather see me set up the next flute or just do all the first flutes and then go back and try? What would you guys like to see? Because I can set this one up and then we'll try the second flute but there'll be a lot of pressure flaking. So we want to try to do all the first flutes. Oh, you want to see the setup for the next side and then go to the next one, Todd? Let some other folks weigh in on that. Okay. This one's a candidate for the... Now I've seen this. All right, right on, guys. Well, I will do that, and we may not get through if I'm doing both sides of each one. I'm starting off with the ones that oh, thank you, I appreciate it. It hit a thicker spot there, and this one's probably going to break. It dipped in a little bit right there, you can see. But we're going to see if we can't fix that right here. On a few of the originals that I've looked at, there's evidence of what I'm getting ready to do. And that is that if you had a flute that stopped short on one side, that you could actually turn around and flute it from the tip back and try to meet it up in the middle of that. And we're going to give that a shot on this one. think I can hold this one in place and not have to put the block behind it. Man, I better just to be safe. Just to keep it from. All right. Well, thank you, Cessna. I appreciate it. All right, we're gonna see if we can get this to flute from the tip back and meet them up. Like I said, oh yeah, we got a little bit longer flute. If it didn't break, that went right back to it. So this is what I think is cool, guys. There you go. There is a full flute. And what I did was I just tipped that, or went from the tip back and had those meet up. Now, you can look at it from each direction and you can see, if you really look at the lines in it, the direction that those flutes were going. But I've seen this signature on artifacts, on ancient artifacts, where you fluted back from the tip. So now we have, you know, full base to tip on that. Now you guys said you wanted to see the setups. So that's the thing about these, is once you get that one side, we were setting up that convexity, and you see how that ridge, see where that flute went right down that ridge, and how we've got, you know, really that convexity. Well, now we've got to set it up on this side to where this ridge right here is, well, there's a bunch of concrete in this one. I may need everybody, you know, crossing their fingers for me on that one. So what we're going to do, get some dust on here. Get a nice All right. Now, when we go back the other way, you guys can see, these flakes are just going to be down, just like this. I'm trying to start a ridge on this other side. Well, and I'm trying to remember your, instead of trying to pronounce what that is, the shminimashishi. It's not about it's not about necessarily how much force with the indirect percussion. It's more about isolating your piece and not letting it move, so that all of that energy from when I strike that goes directly into that and goes to the end of that flute or that tip. And it's almost it's like a really quick compression, and that's why it doesn't take as much energy, because I'm compounding that by it's hard to explain. If I didn't have that little block behind there for that, it's adding that instant extra mass to this, and it would recoil a little bit from it, and it would require more energy to get that kind of flute. But I think that's one of the reasons why this is working well, is because I'm not putting so much extra energy, into trying to release the flute. Now, this is tough Texas material. This is not, a heat-treated slab of fantastic candy, rock that just breaks really easy. This is tough material. So to get a flute to travel, everything has to be set up right. And that's what I was explaining to everybody. It was, to be honest with you, a little bit unnerving, thinking about, sorry, I'm gonna light another incense here. Knowing, the percentage of failures that are possible on these. So but I am working on a couple of other ways to flute right now that, are, I think, viable options as far as, using these tools. Okay, you can see that first set right there. You see how nice and even and ordered those those flakes. You can't really see them very well. I wish if I could get it in. You can kind of see the orderedness of them there. There's a little bit of but each of those flakes at each of those serrations, that's where I've got a flake going in, and what it's doing is, you can see how that's kind of rounding up to the top. Now this side here, once I get a set run down this way, there'll be an isolated ridge right down the center of this piece. Got one more spot in there, and then that's the other thing, guys. With the failure rate of these. Right on, Kenosha. Well, I didn't get over to the post office yesterday, but I've got it on the list today. So I will be picking up the package from there. Well, within a little bit of getting off the live this morning. So for those of you that aren't regulars in here, or whatever, Kenosha Kinku sending me a care package of some obsidian that we're going to work next week. So it'll give my hands a break after this week of Folsoms and all this pressure flaking. So we're going to come up with some really cool point styles from the region where that material came from. So if you guys want to see some obsidian and worked, and come back in on Monday and we will be working some. Hey, Chris. Again, man, you're excluding me. Come on now. You should say, good morning, all you beautiful people and cavemen. Gary, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. All right, let's get this other side flaked down, and then we'll set up the flute and flute the other side of it, or try to. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Chris, I didn't say I'm not bringing anything to the table, you know, but like I said, I have been told that I have a great face for radio, so. And see, you could hear that one, how it didn't pop, and you can see that it crushed, that little white spot. It was right in that concrete. I didn't have a strong enough platform set up to try to push it through that stuff. So I'm going to come up from the tip and work my way back to that, because I need some mass removed right in that spot. So I'm going to turn around, come back from this way. There we go. I got it to work out of there. Now you can see how we've got this ridge now, how rounded and nice that is? Right on, Kenosha. Well, I'm going to be on here until 10 today. If they're wanting me to set these up. Victoria, thank you for the follow. So as I'm setting these up, it'll take a little longer to flute both sides and then move on. So you should be able to come in and catch at least one of them if you want to see some more. And I started off, guys, this is the one that I felt like had the least chance of being successful. So that just goes to show you I don't know what the heck I'm talking about. At least on the first side it went, so. Now I will spare you guys all the finish work, because that's no fun for anybody. I don't even like doing it, so I'm not going to put you through watching it. But once you get that flute down each side, and then you're not pushing flakes in like you're trying to thin it. You're just going almost straight down, back and forth, and just bringing that edge in. Let me show you here, because that's what we're trying to do, is learn. See if I can get, even on these tiny, really fine pieces. I was trying to find one with good steep edges. Where's the Berry County? There we go. Now this is a piece that was made this came from just north of where I live. It's got super, super tiny fine flaking, but you can see that the angles of that, see how sharp that angle is? He wasn't trying to push that in, just going down and trying to get it to roll into the flute channel. But you can see how once we remove this flute, we're in the ballpark, you know, we're close. So it's just a matter of hey, awesome, Chris. Yeah, I saw the video where you had a gaggle of them heading in for the shoots. That's awesome, man. Yeah, congratulations. That's fantastic. I need to get back out and do some more shooting. I haven't shot in a long time. Sitting here out in my area, I got my bows up on the wall, and I've got a couple of primitive bows that are in process that need to be worked on. I guess now that the weather's nicer, I can get outside. I'll tell you what, because you know, flint knapping is a messy hobby, but it's got nothing on bow making. That dust and the shavings and everything else from working on a bow you'll have that stuff everywhere. All right. Now what we're going to do here is I'm just beveling this edge. Just beveled that kind of down from that first flute. Whoop, try to get it to focus. And now we're going to set our platform up right in the center of this one. And to do that, you want to isolate it just like, oh yeah, I'm telling you, and they'll stick to your clothes, and you'll end up there in your socks, and you're tracking them through the house, and unless you've got a sink like I do sitting in the living room, you're going to hear it. All right, let me get this just a little bit sharper. These setup flakes here are important because this second flute, yeah, mine is too, Chris. Best partner support that I could ever imagine. Has really encouraged me through my flint napping here in the last few years. I've shared with you guys after my injury, there's just not a lot of stuff that I can do day to day, but yeah, mine, that's the way mine is, Chris. And man, I tell you what, there is no price tag on that, buddy. There is no price tag. I have been on the other side of it, and if you got one that supports you and is your biggest cheerleader and your biggest fan, man, you take care of that. Yeah, this actually looks more like a Cumberland than it does a Folsom. All right, now you see how I took that first flake right off that corner, and you see how that kind of dropped that edge, and now this is isolated just a little bit. It's the same thing as if we're working off the tip or the base of something. I'm trying to, other flute or other flake on the other side of that. Now you see how it just slightly set that platform in the center. Now I'm going to nibble off each edge. Thank you, hon. Well, somebody's got to, don't they? Well, Bent Creek, I don't think that was the regular, that was the regular procedure to do it, but I've seen on Folsoms, I've seen it where they fluted from both ends, and I can't imagine that they wouldn't try to do the same thing with a Cumberland, if they had a flute that went out to the middle and stopped. Because I mean, as you guys saw, it's not really difficult to get it to happen. It's actually, it's almost like if you get a flake that stops short when you're thinning a piece, that you're trying to get a flute to match up on the other side. And basically, if you look at it that way, this is just not quite 3-inch wide biface. So you got a flake that went halfway and a flake that went halfway, and they met up. So kind of the same concept, but I don't know if the tip of my punch will fit into this or not. We're gonna find out. There, yeah, awesome. Well, she's sitting in there at her jewelry station right now, or getting ready to be. All right, now you can see now how that's a little bit more isolated right there, that little spot. All right, let's see here. Yeah, Rick, it was funny. My wife Jenny, she when she started getting into the jewelry stuff, and you know she's getting a lot of she's using parts from jewelry that she's purchased, like from like bulk packages of stuff, and she finally told me, she said, okay, now I get it with the rock. You know, I know why there's never enough rock, because she's making jewelry pieces and putting them together with other pieces and doing like a upcycle, recycle type stuff. And it's just, you know, when that resource or that material's out there, it's awful hard to, you know, I'm telling you, if I lived right next to where the rock was, I'd probably have it all over the house. Well, I mean, I do have it all over the house, but there's never enough, you know. All right, I think we're pretty close here. Need to put in tiny little back flakes this way. That little flake, and I'm doing that on either side of that platform. What that does is it kind of creates a thin spot. It's like I told you guys that what we want to avoid when we're on the... Oh, I know how it is, Bent Creek. I've got buckets of it sitting next to me out here, and of just different. A lot of the stuff that I got is not super great. I need to go through it and get it a little bit better organized. But yeah, it's definitely, you know, for me, I love hunting material or working new material, that kind of stuff, you know. So okay, if I can get one good flake right here where this is the one that I need, hopefully it'll. Yeah, that was helpful. All right. This one I'm going to set flat, fairly flat. Put just a little bit of support underneath it. And what I'm doing with this is, it's kind of like when you see me put my finger underneath the platform when I'm working an edge. It's to add support to that, where that flake wants to come apart at. And that's so it'll keep transferring that energy, you know, forward instead of busting out the bottom. Yeah, it's definitely part of the, you know, I don't know any flint knappers that don't have unbelievable amounts of freaking rock laying around. That is no lie. You know, if I mean, you could have 2 tons of it and somebody says, hey, I've got a truckload of rock for free, do you want it? Well, yeah. You're not going to say no. All right. Now this, like I said, is I've got it turned around the other way. I just want something for it to kind of butt up against that, so it's not gonna move when I strike it. Yeah, Rick. Now, where? I mean, what? You don't have to tell me exactly, but what part of Kansas are you in? feels pretty decent. Now guys, I do this a lot when you don't use the punch for several strikes in a row, you know, you get a little bit out of a rhythm. So I try to make sure that angle is ingrained in my head, because if you're a degree or two off, you know, that's the difference between, you know, that flake not going halfway or it shooting through the point and breaking it in half. So usually in between, if it's been a little bit, I like to try to, it's almost like a golfer taking a few practice swings, you know what I mean? You're not gonna step up there cold and just try to pull off the great shot. I just want to make sure that because there's a feel to it when that energy is going where you want it to go. You can just kind of feel it in your hand. All right. Kansas City. Oh, right on. Yeah, you're not too far from that area, from the Flint Hills. You're about 3.5 hours north of me, Rick. Almost directly north. All right. Refill the coffee. And get ready to see if this one will work. Yeah, that winter set, that's, now you were on that, well, was it Nanawaya Heritage Farmstead? Their YVNNV Shishi. He works quite a bit of the winter set. That was one of his favorites. And I really like looking at his work. Yeah. We almost had the opportunity to meet here not too long ago, but I really like his work. He's another traditional tools napper, and I really dig being able to sit down with people. His work is phenomenal. And that's why I'll tell you guys too, is if you get the opportunity to sit down with a napper, you know, and it doesn't matter if they're, you know, if they use different tools or different rocks or techniques or whatever, sit down with as many nappers as you can, because even new nappers will do something different than you do. Now, I'm confused there. Why, Yvin and Shishi, I don't know what I should call you. I forgot your name from a while ago, but are you the one that posts the stones and stuff? Or I mean the microwave kiln glass Clovises and all that? I was thinking maybe you had commented on that. I commented as New Age Neanderthal and as Aaron, so I thought maybe. Oh well, awesome. Well, I'm very happy that you're in here. It's been a long time wanting to be able to nap with you. I was sorry that we weren't able to get together in Joplin here not too long ago, but I'm looking forward to it very much so. All right. Well, awesome. I didn't know that was you. What is your name, if you don't mind, so I don't have to keep trying to stumble through YVNNV Shishi? And I'll remember it this time, I promise. Ian, right on. All right, well, let's see if we can get this second flute off here, guys. Just almost too small to get the tip of my punch right there. Hey, Don, good morning. No, when you, Ian, when you commented on that banded slate crow head that I carved, that was for a Choctaw friend of mine, and that's his Ooga Booga name is Three Crows, Valatochina. I may have overstruck that. It looks like the platform kind of crumbled and blew up, so we're going to see where that one went. I think I overstruck it though. I did. I blew right through that platform, so I could feel it when I hit that. I did. I overpowered the platform. Well, hell, it worked the first time. This like I said, guys, this was the one that I felt I had the least amount of chance of it working. So let's see if we can get one to go from the tip back, and then we'll go on to the next one. That is correct, Thomas. Oh, I missed one there. The crow something. Yeah, I told you, Don, it was coming. I wasn't kidding. That freaking cold stuff, man, it blew through here and it dropped 30 degrees in the course of the day. Yeah, I missed one of those comments. If I've got any moderators in here, I don't even know which one it was I missed, but I hate missing comments, guys. So if somebody could could pin that, I'd appreciate it. I'm trying to think of a way I can set this where I'm not getting into that. That might work. I just need something to keep that from moving back. Yeah, that'll work. All right. Just thinning that up just a little bit up here on the tip so it's not quite as, tell you what, I want to make sure that platform is set up to where it'll release good. Oh, awesome. Yeah, Rick, it is. It's just some, that chromium tanned. I think this is probably goat hide or something, but what most of the stuff, like what I've got underneath on my chair here, and I got a really good deal on a bunch of it years ago, and I've used it for everything from padding when I nap to straps and all kinds of stuff. So, all right, we're going to see now. A lot of times, if you've got that platform stuck out too far, it'll try to tear off the end, and it may do that on this one. But like I said, guys, this was the one that I felt had the least amount of opportunity to do this. So if we can get a successful flute, I'm happy with it. I feel like I learned something from it. But yeah, Thomas, this stuff, well, I tell you, I've worked some rhyolite, and I like working it. It's tough material, but I've worked some Tallahassee quartz or quartzite. Thank you, Thomas, for the follow. I like tough rock. I mean, this is Texas rock, raw Texas rock, and it's got some strength to it for sure. All right, let's see. This is going right through a spot of concrete here. That was one of the reasons why I didn't feel like this one had as much chance as the rest. So well, you can see it took a flute. There's the so let's see how far back we went. Well, it looks like it went back to the base. So nope, it broke it in half. It went right to that, oh, there it is. That concrete right there is why it broke. You can see that one, it tried to come back from the tip. So that goes into the pile of knowledge. But again, I think that was probably the one that I felt had the, yeah, well, that was the one that I thought was gonna, you got to see, well, I'll tell you what, Don, today is the day. If you want to see me break stuff, this is probably the day, because like I said, guys, I was a little bit nervous at the thought of doing this because, you know, the Folsom people, you know, the archaeological papers and stuff that I've read, they estimate somewhere between 40 and, yeah, the pile of knowledge. You like that, Cooper? Well, I used to have what I called the bucket of shame. I got that from a friend of mine who has now passed, but yeah, anytime he'd mess something up, he'd throw it what he called the bucket of shame. Yeah, I like working rhyolite though, Thomas. That's the better grades of it is some really cool stone. All right, on to the next one here. Like I said, I've kind of got these in order of how I thought they were going to work. So, tell you what we're going to do is, let's see, 8:59. Man, we've been at it for an hour, so we're gonna, I may flute the first side on these and then go back and start any of them that didn't fail, then I'll start setting up the other side. So, because that was, like I said, that was the one I felt like I had the least chance of doing, and it, you know, the first side fluted, so we'll give this one a shot. One thing about these, though, these are a little bit thicker than the preforms that I did the other day. So that may have something to do with it, but this Texas rock, it's pretty tough. I mean, it's awesome, Thomas. Well, yeah, that's, if you got high grade rhyolite, that's good material. I like working it. Now the lower grade stuff of it, it's too hard on my body. I mean, that's some rough stuff to work. All right, let's set this up. Let's go. That one felt really good, and you can see what's left of that, or that looks like I nicked I caught the edge with my punch just a little bit there. All right. Let's see what we got out of that one. Well, it tried to go all the way up, and we'll be able to get that one, but that's a killer flute. And there's the platform and the, see, it ran into, ran into this area of thickness right here, and you can see, I can get it in the right spot here, where that flake, and this is why I talk about, you see where that kind of, it makes a little bit of a rise right there. And when that energy tried to climb that little bit of a hill right there, that's what caused that flake to roll out. You can see it tried to carry on underneath there. It was almost, and that's, a lot of it is just this tough material too. So we're going to set that one aside. That one may end up life as a Clovis instead of a Folsom. This one did. This was one. Kitten, I am flint napping, and right now I'm working on fluting, which was a technology that was used by the Native Americans somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 to 13,000 years ago, depending on the culture that you're talking about. So, welcome in. I'm glad you found us this morning. Okay, that one sits pretty flat, so I don't think we need any much support underneath it, just a little to help catch that platform. Now typically this is not how I flute Clovises. Usually with a Clovis I freehand flute them, but to try to get that flute to go all the way to the end, it's helpful to have that block at the back of it. Right on. Yeah, that's the goal, is to keep. Oh, well, thank you, Thomas. I appreciate it. I do a lot of research. I mean, I don't know who all's in here. I don't if a couple of the folks that were in here earlier have been out to the house, and I read. I'm like a sponge when it comes. I've got archaeological papers and books, and I watch lectures and videos. To me, that's as important, having that knowledge, as it is the time sitting in the seat trying to make them, because I think it gives me different insights. These Folsom points, the reason that I'm so enamored with them is because you're dealing with a culture of people that carried every single thing that they owned with them on their backs everywhere they went. So the points had to fit in the system. I've told you guys before, it's kind of like if you ride a motorcycle and you're going cross country, and every single bolt and nut on that motorcycle is a 1/2 inch. You're not going to carry a 5/8 wrench with you, because you've only got enough space on your bike for what stuff you got, and carrying something that's not. Oh yeah, I know the name very well. Never got to meet James, but I know the name very well, Thomas. It was a loss to the. I've seen a lot of his work. Oh, right on, kitten. Yeah, I'm actually going to work some obsidian next week. I've got one of my followers in here is well, it's sitting at the post office waiting on me right now, is a big chunk of obsidian that I'm going to work. All right, let's see if we can get this one to go. Again, I'm loading that up. I'm pushing in on that, and I can feel. I'm trying to drive that force from this all the way to where that block is at in my hand, and I can feel that vibration. It's almost like when when you tap on a wall for a wall stud, and it's hollow, and all of a sudden you get that thump, 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 and you're right on a stud. It's similar to this. I'm tapping on that, and when I'm hitting downward, I can feel it doing this until when I get the right angle, it's driving back, and that way I know I'm driving it into that antler block that I've got back there. All right, there's the channel. Now, like I said, this one started off, yeah, this is going to be a killer Clovis. But you can see that one tried to go most of the way too, and where it hit that, this material is really tough, and I should probably make a little bit smaller points, you know, a little shorter. Now this is my favorite part to look at, guys. When I'm, you know, the flute channel flake is nice, but that platform right there, where it comes off here, and this is, I need to do a study and save all these channel flakes, because if you guys will let me get a little bit. This is a cast or casts of the came from the White Sands Folsom site. Gosh, don't drop these down in there, and I'd never find them if I dropped them in the chip pile. Sorry guys, I just want to make sure I'm careful with this. These are actual casts that came from a dig site. Where's the point at? And I'll show you the point that it came off of. It's been glued back together. Yeah, you'll Hollywood, you'll see a lot of them that are, let's see, one is. Yep, and that's awesome, Thomas. Callahan, I've got several of his papers and books and stuff. I've read a lot. Now this one here was glued back together. This piece failed, but there was their first flute, and it went to about right there, and then it stopped. And then they set up this side, and it broke on that attempt. But the part that I like to look at, like I said, here was the channel flake that came off, I believe it was the first side. Maybe it was the second one. But that channel flute sat in that original piece like that. Now, this is an exceptionally thin, you know, high-grade material. The stuff that I'm working is tougher. But what's neat is when you can look at the signatures of the way the similarities of the platforms and the release of all of that and everything. You can just see how close that is to, I'll save that one if I can keep from losing it somewhere. I like to look at those later on, but that came from the White Sands Folsom site is where that piece came from. Make sure I'm not throwing any of it away, but this is a really cool cast here. I think this came from Mammoth Run, but it's got all the channel flakes that they could recover and the piece. Yes, Todd, this is a cast. I've got numerous. This is all my Folsom related casts that I have. This is the one that we've been using as a guide for our early stage stuff. And here's one that broke when they were making on the first flute. And then all three of these came off the same site. I think this was the same maker. I think all of these were made by the same napper. The outlines, everything is just so similar. But check this out. That was the first flute on this piece. Just a monster flute. Now, why would you flute something? Todd, they're available, Lithics Casting Lab. If you look them up, now Pete is old school. Now check this out though. That was the first flute on that side. Now look how thin this piece is. And they tried to flute it again and it broke on that one. Now the cast has been glued back together, but that's where that second flake went in and just buried in and broke. Now I'm surprised that they didn't attempt to rework the top side of this, but they didn't. It was found this way. But all three of these pieces were found on the same excavation site. Now, any of you guys that flint knap, you'll notice that you'll have a style. Your points will look a certain way if you make them. I have buddies of mine that I've knapped with for years. Hollywood, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. I've got friends of mine that I've knapped with for years that when I see their work, I recognize their style. Well, when you look at these pieces, these are all found off the same excavation, and I'm telling you, I think that this was probably the same, or at least somebody very close to this person that made these. So they're just too similar. They line up. I mean, it's like, so anyway. All right, guys. Well, that's two, and I'm gonna that's the first one of that one. But yeah, I'm gonna call that one a win for the Clovis on that one. That one we're gonna try to rework. That one we're not. All right, now this one I don't have high hopes at all. You can see this thing is, once I got in there, there is a bunch of concrete. This is a rough piece of stone, and there's a lot of it out here towards the tip. So this is, when I used to play pool, what this is gonna be is poke and hope. We're gonna set this up, and I'm gonna try to drive a flake, but I don't have a lot of confidence in it. So hopefully you guys will bear with me and won't be too critical of it. If Cooper, I do make notch points. I make calf creeks. I make just about any kind of notch stuff. You ever heard that expression, Hollywood? I used to play a lot of pool, and I'd play against guys, and what their style of pool play was poke and hope. So that's see if we can get that to carry over. Maybe I can dog one in here, because like I said, this is one that I do not have a lot of confidence in, and it'll probably be the nicest flute of the whole bunch, So and that's all part of the fun of learning. Watch it now, Chris. This is a family show. You're like, I know. That's what I'm talking about, making family. Now, guys, when I'm wrapping this, I'm not wrapping it real tight. I'm just kind of, it's just to keep it from sliding around and moving around. There's not a lot of downward pressure. Well, and I did that too, Rick. When I played pool, we didn't play slop shots. It was a call your shot deal. Hey, Bicentennial Mama, how you doing? We are listening to some flute music and fluting some points today. We had so far we've had a break, and we've had a couple of them that turned out okay. So what I did with my, oh yeah, this one I said this one's going to the bucket of knowledge. I'm doing good this morning. Like I said, I'm excited about fluting these. It's always fun to, this is one of the most challenging aspects. This, and then for me, deep notches, like the calf creeks, Lost Lakes, those type of notching pieces are the challenging stuff for me. So I really do like to push myself to try to get it to do stuff like that, especially with these tools. Yeah, thanks. I'm not very good at multitasking, Chris. Oh, it's all good. Bicentennial Mama, he's just playing, I think. All right. Yeah, I always got I heard the one. If you've got time to lean, you've got time to clean. Yeah, I knew he was just poking fun, Bicentennial Mama. And if he's not, hey, let the haters hate. I mean, I'm not a Taylor, I'm not a Swiftie, but come on. Yeah, you got time to lean, you got time to clean. All right. I've not talked or not worked enough, right, Chris? This one I'm a little nervous about. Like I said, this has got to go through a lot of concrete. Well, I got a clean detachment there. But I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, that one just skimmed up the... We'll reset that one. I didn't have a deep enough bite on it. Let's see here. And this may actually help me out because I can get a little bit underneath that. Now that won't help me out. I'm going to bring this edge in just a little. Well, Todd, I've got them set up pretty aggressive on here because this is a really tough rock. I mean, this stuff here is, it's not playing nice. I've got a couple of pieces over here, I think, as we get in here that's going to be a little bit slicker, but if the material were a little bit more glassy, then I would probably set up a little bit smaller platform. But you just have to remember that at this spot right here, just down from that on either side, that's where I'm wanting it to break at. Right on. Big Wheeler is knocking them out this morning. Let's see if I can. We're going to try to sneak under this little spot right here. It'll make a big difference if I can get it to work. No, it's not going to. That concrete's got it pretty locked up. So we're gonna try to shoot one through there anyway. Again, this wasn't one that I had a lot of high hopes for, so I hear the train this morning. Not glue, reflute from the tip. Yeah, I will probably, depends on how it, what the profile of it is. But if it doesn't go, I can always try to turn it and go from the other end of it. Okay, there's our platform. Kitten, this is some Texas, I believe this piece is probably Pedernales or Amoeba, but it's Texas, raw Texas rock. Well, that one drove back, but you can see that detachment right there in that. Todd, I'm in Arkansas, northwest Arkansas. I've got flakes up here by the block. We may have got lucky on this one, and we may not. Like I said, you guys are probably going to see a few broken and failed stuff today, because that's just the nature of the beast. But you can see that one worked out fairly nice. It's way up here. There's our, and another really nice platform. All right, let's see what I do with those others. We'll put it right there. Well, that's what we're 3 for 4 so far. Now, like I said, with glassier material, this is tough stuff, and this would have been, great, like the Clovis type material. But for a base to tip flute with coarser material, you're asking a whole bunch from that thing. Yes, kitten, and this is, I've kind of explained it before. Let me take a little bit of a mental health break here, and I'll show you kind of my take on this. And this is an exceptionally long, this is a cast, guys, but it works this way with any of them. It's just easier to show you with this one. This is by far not a realistic example of everything that they did. This is an exceptional piece. But these are casts of bone. You can see that they're both tapered, and these were found 2 different sites, but they were found in association with repair and replacement work on the Folsoms. Now, I want you guys to think about a couple of things and the reason why these are made the way they are. If you look at the cross section of that, even though this one's exceptionally thin, I mean, this is high grade material that this was made out of. Absolutely, kid. No, I'm all about the technology or the terminology and explaining the stuff. So, if you guys are familiar, you know what an H-beam or an I-beam in steel is. It's it's a piece of steel. It's shaped like an H or an I, depending on which way you turn it. Well, they're really good at that metal. If it's just a sheet metal, if you've ever tried to pick up flat sheet metal, it just wobbles. There's no strength to it. But if you put a cross member in that, what you've done is you've increased the this way strength. Okay, so that adds strength to the point in itself. Just the flutes, it's actually stronger with the flutes removed than it is with them intact, because of the way that the cross section is made. Then also, they weren't mounting this on a stick and had that much of it sticking out, because it's going to break right here where it's supported. Oh, well then, yeah, then you'll get it, kitten. Awesome. That may make a little bit more sense to you that way. But so I believe the reason that they were so accepting of such a high failure rate on these pieces is because of, like I said, they carried everything. Yeah, Chris, and when you strike something this way, that load bearing, that's exactly what you're trying to do, because that's the way that the pressure on this is. You're also trying to eliminate any of this bending force. So if you're carrying everything that you own on a hunting trip, look how easy it would be. I'll grab that other big cast, and you could take, half a dozen to a dozen pieces. Look what little bit of space that would take up in a pack. Just wrap those with leather, and you've got all of these. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate it, man. I've studied a lot. It's bless my wife's heart, man. She puts up with it, but I live and breathe this stuff. So, but anyway, if you're traveling with everything you own, I mean, that's 4 points right there, guys. That's 4 new tips to go on your atlatl dart, your thrusting spear. But the part about it that I think is so cool is that if you're putting this on a spear point, you're not going to have this whole big bunch sticking out. All you need is this sharp part here to penetrate that. So now these are bone splints, but this could have been done with wood also. But that would have been hafted, something like that. Okay? Now when that hits something, with it wrapped and bound right here, it's more than likely going to break somewhere right here where the support ends. Okay? So accepting of a high failure rate, say you break that tip off. Okay? Well, to rework this, all you have to do is undo your lashing, and you slide that out a little bit, relash it or re-chip it into a new point where it broke, and now you've got a brand new hunting shaft again that's just a little shorter. And every time it breaks, this is basically just an ancient X-Acto knife, like those that you push out. Same concept. When it's brand new, all you've got sticking out is this end. It breaks off when it hits something, you pull it out, relash it, resharpen it. And the reason that I believe that that's the case is when they're all used up, they refer to them as spuds or slugs. And what you end up with, I'll get that full one again. What you end up with is eventually it gets used down to this point. Okay, now there's still some life in that. Okay, but now this one breaks and you get down to a part where you don't have enough hafting area to attach it anymore. And you end up with this. And you see how that's just been used up just to the very nth degree that it could, because that's the hafting area and that's what we've got sticking out. So this right here was just a used up, it had run its course, and they put a new point in there because this X-Acto blade was worn out. Right? And that's why you'll see these discarded, they call them slugs or spuds. Here's another great example on an original that's got, you can see right here, the flute ended. This wasn't a very long flute on the original piece at all. And it was quite a bit, thicker also. But that's, once they're used up, they're discarded, and then they would have put a new one in there when they were repairing their hunting equipment, and now they're ready to go again. So you would get multiple lives or multiple shots with these tools. So, a half a dozen to a dozen of these, you're looking at multiple repairs for your dart points. And that's why I think that they were so accepting of the amount of failure, because that's a system that it had to fit that system. It had to be thin enough, and it had to be the right contours to fit with what because otherwise they're carrying it for no reason. So that's just kind of my take on it from my research and stuff that I've looked up and read and all that. So Sorry to get so wordy on that one. All right, let's flute another point. This one is a little bit higher grade. It's got a nice ridge. There's the fluting platform. This one is a little bit offset, and I've got a little bit of an area of mass more on this side. So we're gonna see if we can get one here, and then we've got 2 more, and that'll work out just about right today. So good. I wasn't sure. Yeah, kitten, and that's what I'm saying. If you know, you're not going to carry a whole bunch of thick chunks of rock with you. They weren't carrying, you know, huge bifaces like this. Maybe a few for flakes, you know, like a blade core, but they weren't carrying bifaces around because, like I said, you're carrying every single thing that you own on your person when you're on when you're following herds. So every bit of space and weight was important. So you're not gonna, you know, I've used the analogy a lot, but for those of you that are you know, that ride bikes or whatever, you know, on a motorcycle, you have a limited amount of space. You've got saddlebags and storage and whatever, but when you're traveling and you've got all your gear and all your stuff or wherever you're going, you're not going to carry stuff that you're not going to need or won't work for you along with you because you just don't have the space, and it doesn't fit your system. You know, it's like I said, if you ride a bike and every bolt and nut on there is a 1/2-inch bolt, you're not going to carry a 5/8. It doesn't make sense. It's just extra weight, and it's not, you know, it's not going to help you. So you're just wasting everything. Now, guys, I just to throw this out here. This one I'm going to draw for this next week. Oh no worries, Mark. Yeah, I'm not familiar with Pennsylvania, but yeah, kitten, exactly. When you're backpacking, all those small, lightweight, packable stuff, it's the same concept, but just imagine you're not going on a day hike or a weekend hike. You're on the trail following, you know, these huge herds of bison. Well, Chris, you know, yeah, Don, I got a notification that said you were getting close to losing your subscription, so you might want to check it out. I didn't, you know, guys, you know, I'm not in here fishing for that, but if you want to be eligible for this, I'm going to draw for it the 1st of April. This will be for the giveaway for this month, and this is Buffalo River. I don't know, it's kind of a Comanche symbol type piece. It was just for fun, really, to look like a little rattlesnake. So I will draw for one of my subscribers at the end of this month. You don't have to be present to win that one. So if you guys want to be eligible for that, hit that subscribe button, and when I do the drawing, I will notify the winner. All right. Let's get another. We got 3 more flutes to do at least here, so. Now this is where I kind of wrench down on it. I want this fairly tight. I don't want that block to slide on it. I want that to be right up against, really tight. Put plenty of dust on that platform. There's the initiation. I'll put that with my pile for study. And we will see where this one went. Well, that one went that one's about halfway. I was hoping for a little bit more on that. We may flute that one from the tip. or we may make another Clovis. There's the remnants of that channel flake. Yeah, several of these are probably gonna, Brett, if you'll check out, go right up here to my profile, and you don't have to do it right now, but you could check it out after the live if you want. But I have about a 4-minute video. I've lost my monitor again. Man, every once in a while, for whatever reason, my monitor just decides to cut out on me. There it goes, it's back. Kitten, the Clovis is a particular style of, it was a technology that was, hey Don, thank you for the subscription. Justin, thank you for the follow. Now guys, like I said, if you want to be eligible for that snake point, just hit that subscribe. But yeah, the Clovis culture was just, when they say Clovis culture, it's not necessarily one group of people. I heard a guy that said it was one of the greatest analogies that I'd heard. You wouldn't call, or maybe you would, but our culture right now around the world, we all use iPhones or smartphones. You wouldn't call it the smartphone culture. You have multiple cultures of people that are using a technology. Once the Clovis technology spread, because it was such a superior hafting and hunting tool that enabled them to more successfully harvest the animals that they were after. Now, if you'll look in the archaeological record, at the beginning of the Clovis culture, of the technology, the points were larger. And I think at that point that you're probably looking at hand thrown, like a javelin type spear or a thrusting spear with a big piece like that. Because those of you that are in archery, an atlatl or an arrow, the weight, if you put something that big on the end of an arrow or a dart point, your trajectory is going to be horrible. So I believe that as there were fewer and fewer of the megafauna that the Clovis people were hunting, that as those animals, the big slow animals, were dying away and there were fewer and fewer of them, that the points got smaller because they were starting to develop or starting to use the atlatl technology. And I think that the Folsom is just a carryover of the Clovis technology of the fluting, and they were making smaller, thinner points because they were hunting smaller, faster animals that they had to have a longer distance to be able to throw their projectile at them. So consequently, if you put a large point on an end of an atlatl dart and you try to throw it 20 or 30 yards, your trajectory is it's going to go nose down. You want something that's a little bit lighter so that you'll get a better... Zach, it's going well. Yeah, Kitten, it's more of it's a technology though. It's not a time period. It was a technology. You're gonna bludgeon them to death with your points, huh, Don? Don's throwing rocks at them. But yeah, it's just a technology and not necessarily a specific culture of people, because regionally, depending on the material that they had to work, the game animals that they were hunting, it absolutely affected the size, the style. That's when you start seeing a morph and a spreading out of that technology. And if you'll look from Clovis, then you've got Folsoms. From the Folsoms, you started getting away from the fluting and the Midland points. Well, Dennis, I'll show you what we got so far. And then I'm getting ready I've got 2 more to flute here. I think 2 more? Yeah, 2 more. Here's where we're at so far. And then I got one that went to the tip on one side, or from the base of the tip, and then it broke. But there's our flutes so far. See that one? So that's what we've accomplished so far, Dennis. Yeah, no, there, Kitten, that is correct. The smaller blunt points, you know, would have been used like a stunning type deal, but you'll also see a lot of, you know, for lack of a better term, ooh, boy, I kind of chipped up the bottom of my punch there on that last one. You can see where that drove and kind of peeled that back. We're going to fix that because we don't need the tool failing on us on these. These last two, I think I've got my best chance of getting a good flute. So, sorry about this, guys. I know it's not what you wanted to watch, but if that tool's all chewed up and you try to put it on a platform and get a good, consistent contact, if it's chewed up, you're not going to get that, and you're going to get flakes that will reflect that. So, all right. Awesome, Kitten. Well, I actually have, I'm working on a video right now. I made what's called a rabbit stick or a throwing stick. And Don, were you curious about what I was using? This is how I do a lot of the real quick major shaping on, you know, if I've got a big spot like that. I actually prefer, especially for my pressure flaking, but to use a stone to burnish that and kind of smooth it out because of that very reason about having that like a smooth edge. I don't want it to be chattered up. Yeah, Don, what that is, I heard somebody call it a drywall rasp, and I'll show you here. Let me get a piece of, you can see how quick, like, see how chattered up that is? See all the little dents and stuff in there? You can see that. This takes it down a lot faster than grinding it on a stone. Now I have done maintenance on this stuff with sandstone, and I would spend the better part of my 2 hours live, you know. Yeah. And you can see, now I didn't do it all the way down, but you can see how much smoother in that area that is. And there's just a little bit of that. But I usually, you know, like I said, at the nap ends, and yeah, or this one is actually called a Shinto rasp, Don. And I, like I said, it's super handy. And it's basically hacksaw blades that are welded together in a zigzag pattern. And it will absolutely peel through. And watch it though. You will, if it slips, it'll eat your hand up in a hurry. But yeah, it takes a lot of the time. You know, this is, well, you can see the remnants of it. I actually prefer using like a big piece of sandstone, just because of the way that it dresses the edge. Yep. Yeah, that's what somebody told me it was, Dennis, was a drywall rasp, but I just use it for like the quick stuff when I'm trying to shape antler. But like I said, I prefer the texture of the sandstone. It just takes forever. And with you guys watching me, I don't want to sit here and be dressing tools all day long. So, all right. This one is a little bit thicker. See if we can get it. Put a little bit of support underneath it to kind of hold it up there. Right on, Dennis. Well, I'll see if I can don't disappoint you. We're doing pretty good so far. We just had one complete failure. We've had a few of them that were shorter. They went halfway or better. So, but yeah, Don, they're available on Amazon, and it will flat shape your antler stuff up quick. All right. Save that little, there's where it detached. Now it looks a little bit thin, so this may not run as far as I wanted it to. You can tell a lot of the times by the thickness of the initiation if it wasn't as deep or as far as you would want it to go. Yeah, see, that one went up about halfway and hit that mass again. It's still way too thick. This one will be reworked and done again. So that one was too thick right there. But I will finish all these up probably off camera or in the next few days. Gonna try to take a little bit of a break. Yeah, it fluted. It wasn't quite what I wanted. It's a little bit shallow, and it left me enough meat there that I'll come back in and rework that, and I'll make it into another one. You know, that's, again though, guys, it's not about, for me, it's not about finishing points up as much as it is learning about the process, you know. What have I done with that? No, there it is. No, that's still a little tall for that. All right. Yeah, I don't like the way that platform looks, maybe. Just trying to save those. Yeah, it looks thin again, but we'll see what happens. It's weird, the ones that I thought were gonna do the best have been the ones that have been the most challenging. Whoop. Yeah, that one didn't go either. That one's halfway again. So we will probably rework a lot of these. Like I said, this Texas stuff, I'm gonna try to make, we'll make a couple of Clovises out of them. I have to rethink my lines on stuff, because like I said, I had several today that went halfway and stopped on me. So that may be contours, it may be just the toughness of the rock. I was really trying to hit it a little harder, you know, to get them to go farther. So this one was trying to go a little bit more, and it hit a kind of a high spot in there. Now again, I could go back like I did on those ones earlier and try to flute it from the tip, but I think this one will be just fine as a, I'll rework a couple of these as Clovis points. So let's see here. Let's see, we started with 7 today. And then there's what we ended up with. But the majority of these, I see that where they stopped, it's probably my contours near the tip on these. And this was substantially tougher material than the stuff I had been using. So it may have been more about how hard I was hitting it, because I think the angle is good. I'm looking at where all of these terminated. They still had energy going forward, most of them. So they probably hit an area that was a little thicker. And hey, thank you for the follow, Lydia. I appreciate it. So, but then we had one that failed, and it failed on the second side. Put that over there with those platforms. So anyway, guys, that's what we get them to where you can see the flute channels. Hey, no, I appreciate you coming in, Ian, and watching. I'm looking forward to when we get to sit down and do some napping together. I'm not super stoked with the outcome of some of these, but you know, again, out of hard Texas material, you know, I'm. Hey, thank you for the gift, Bicentennial Mama. Doug, it does to a certain extent. You know, when you're loading that up in there and then you release that flake. And I was trying to push in pretty hard, but that could be another thing that I didn't have enough inward force, so that when I struck that it detached it in a good, you know, the way I wanted it to. So, you know, it's like I told you guys though, it's a learning process, you know, and I'll go back, I'll probably watch some of this video, I'll see if, you know, if the points jumped at the moment that I struck them. I'm going to look at the detachments and see where those flakes were breaking off that platform. I had several that didn't break as deep as I wanted to, which means I probably need to set the weak spots a little bit higher up. Yeah, and that's a lot of it too, Ian, is there's so many little variables, you know. I mean, if for those of you that have never attempted fluting with antler tools, there's just so many different things. I mean, just with the tools that can go different, let alone the rock that you're working or any anomalies that might be in there. So, you know, it's just you try the best, you know, do your best, and then you try to learn from that and move on. So, so far I've been having pretty good success with the fluting. I haven't broken too many, but then again, I don't always get the outcome that I'm wanting. I look at these preforms now, and they do look a lot more Clovis than they do Folsom. So I'll probably revisit this on another live or another week, because until I get those points the way I like them, I won't be happy, and I'll be driving my wife nuts, you know, talking about Folsom points. So getting close to the end. Well, thank you. I appreciate it, Ian. I'm, you know, a lot of time invested in it. You know, that's what I was joking. I told somebody the bucket of knowledge. You know, I've got in the last few years, I couldn't tell you how many hundreds of Folsom bifaces that I've broken or didn't work out. I mean, it would be one thing to sit down with, you know, somebody of my family that had been doing that their whole life and they learned it from somebody else. But when you're trying to figure this stuff out from scratch, and from watching other nappers that, you know, they think, you know, they're trying to come up with an idea how it works, and looking at archaeological papers and trying to piece all of it together, it's, oh, absolutely, kitten. And I have got a bucket full of eggs. Broken eggs everywhere. I shouldn't say that too loud, though. Everybody's talking about how much they're worth. You know, somebody might come try to steal my bucket of broken eggs. Well, guys, I'm gonna. Yeah, that's it. It's a long learning process, Ian, for sure. And you know, but I learned some stuff today that I'm going to take away from it, and a lot more of it will sink in. It's what I try to stress to you guys, though. Just because a preform fails, or you don't get the flute that you want, or any of that stuff, don't look at it as a failure. You know. Right on, Blake. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. But yeah, don't look at it as you know that it failed. Up until the point that you got it to flute or to attempt the flute, every bit of that was where it needed to be. So it's just you make incremental improvements, and eventually, you know, like here lately, like I said, I've probably been pressing my luck. I've had pretty good success on some of the smaller Folsoms that I've been making. So these were larger and a little bit thicker, and they were set up more like a Clovis preform than they were a Folsom preform, and that's probably why I got Skitty. That's exactly it. That's a great way to put it. I never fail. I just win or learn. And you know, the thing about it is that's we don't learn when we win. You know, if you do something and it works, you're not going to change anything. I wouldn't know, Doug, if any heat would make any difference. I don't, as far as, you know, something with the rock, making it break easier. Now, I know if you heat treat the rock, but just a small amount on the surface, I don't know that would make much of a difference. But, well, guys, I'm going to be working some obsidian. I'm going to the post office here in a little bit. One of my followers that was in here earlier, Kenosha Kinku, is sending me a box of obsidian to work, and we're going to go pick that up and see if we can't make some points out of that next week. So if you guys have got, y'all know, Doug, that's what I like about this is when folks, you know, share ideas. We call it spitballing, you know, throwing back and forth with ideas, because I think that's how that we advance, or we get, you know, you say something and all of a sudden it clicks something in my head, and I try something, and that's just the way we humans work. So anytime you guys have an idea or thinking out loud or questions, I encourage that, because it may make me think about something in a different way than I hadn't thought about before. So by all means, you know, that this is our live. It's not my live. So if you guys have got comments, input, questions, any of that stuff, shout it out there. You know, I can't hear it, but I can see it. So, guys, I'm gonna get off here. I appreciate everybody that showed up this morning to sit and have some coffee with a caveman, and Pops, Terry, hey, thank you. I tell you what, guys, and I'll let everybody know before I get off here. We're gonna be drawn for this piece right here at the end of the month for one of my subscribers. So if you want to be eligible for that, hit the subscribe button. All you have to do is be an active subscriber this month, anytime in the month. Absolutely, Doug. I appreciate you coming in. But hit the subscribe button and you'll be eligible for this. Thank you for the follow. Bye, Centennial Mama. Have a great day and a good weekend, guys. I'll be back in here on Monday morning, 8 o'clock. So until then, take care of yourselves and those around you, and keep chipping.